Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy Hobbs, and this is Rise Above Insanity. We are today going to be talking about some new topics. This is our second episode, and I want to thank everybody that has been watching it. I hope you're enjoying these things. Be sure you leave comments for us and let us know what you want to see more of, or what you don't like about the show, and everything else. This is a learning process for me because I've never done this before, but I'm really excited to be doing it because it's something that needs to be done. We've got so much hate out there in the world today because it's growing day by day. And it's all because of misinformation, ignorance, Trump, and all of his acolytes, all these people out here that want to bring us down. I mean, I don't know what is the goal is here, but I guess it's to turn our democracy upside down. And it's working for a lot of parts. I mean, look what happened on January the 6th. We are going to have on January 22nd, there is a, here locally in Columbus, Georgia, there is a anti-Semitism talk about, what's going on. And I don't have copies of it yet, but I just understood that something recently happened at Bradley Park Drive. That's a shopping center here in Columbus, Georgia. They were passing out leaflets about anti-gay, anti-everything, basically. But I haven't seen one yet, but I do want to see one. We get mail, hate mail all the time, stuff like that. The recent one that we just got, I've already turned it over to the police department because we've learned to just go ahead and turn that stuff over. They can take care of all that. It's better they have all the records than not, go back and trying to figure out what happened or who this person was that could have done this or what have you, if we have a hate crime that takes place here in Columbus. And we're getting close to some escalation, I believe. I have that feeling deep down. And I know our police are working all around the clock. Homeland Security is working around the clock. Like I told you before yesterday, I mean, we had an incident here. I don't think I ever got to finish the story. I'm going to say PBs because Facebook doesn't like it when I mention their name for some reason. In fact, they suspended me for 30 days from being able to do anything when I posted an article about who they were. We had somebody, the Antifa, put out a letter that called out and said exactly who each member was. Unmasked them, because they always walk around with their masks on and everything else, and on the big guns and stuff like that because they think they're badass, because they get to march together and pass out all kinds of lies and information like that because we're grooming their children, even though it isn't their children. They get involved where they don't even need to be involved. Because we're not talking to their kids. Nobody's dragging their kids out of the homes. Nobody's trying to teach these kids, good ethics, like love thy neighbor and treat each other with respect and accept one another. That we're all different, but we can all be the same in our eyes. We don't have to look at each other as less than or anything like that. I think we spoke on that yesterday too. When we start to look, I'm better than you, that's where we fail. That's the beginning of failure right there, because we've got to start seeing people. But folks, I mean, what we need to do is stand up against this kind of crap. There's a lot of this shit that goes on left and right, especially here in Columbus. Any of the southern areas have it. I mean, Atlanta's not so bad because, it's got a lot of diversity there. We got people that jump on us about our nonprofit, Colgate Pride and stuff like that. Want to bitch about it and say, oh, where's the money going? They don't want to realize that nobody in our agency makes any salaries. There's no salaries whatsoever. When I put this together, I made sure that it was going to be understood that it was about the cause, not us, not our pocketbooks or nothing like that. It was about bringing people together and making sure that everyone, got the best of the best that, can't afford that. But we can't afford people that care, people that will actually want to do something, actually want to make a difference. And that's hard to find. I've had so many problems on our board of directors, people that just want to get on there as a stepping stone or I want to get involved, want to do this, want to do that. And, come maybe one, maybe two meetings and they never come back again. And, because they probably see firsthand that it's an uphill battle. And they don't want to deal with it. A lot of people don't want to deal with a fight like that and don't want to be all up in that. I understand. There's a lot of people out there that have every reason not to be a part of that because, whatever their personalities are or emotional stances are. But we'll be right back after this message.
You a piece of shit. What are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about, you fucking cockroach.
YouTube, you can find them on Spotify, and you can find them on my pages. We'll be getting a Facebook page and everything else together soon. But like I said, I wanted to go ahead and get this started because, you know, I have so much anxiety about it, I guess. What am I going to do? What am I going to say? What are we going to do? I think it's just best to get on here and speak from your mind, speak from your heart, and follow it through. And that's exactly what I'm going to do because, I mean, I see so much out there right now that's anti-diversity, anti-equality, anti-love, basically. I think that's a good way to put it, anti-love. I mean, I don't understand how we can get to this point in our lives where after all that we've been through, COVID, and all the people that before us and everything else and all the wars that we've went through and all the death that we've seen and all the life-changing circumstances that we've been a part of, how we can result to this and to chaos. And that's exactly what's growing. It's chaos. And I have strong worries about this for the future because I don't know where we're headed, but I don't think it's a good place. I would love to say, yes, everything's going to be fine. Yes, everything's going to be this. But I've always been kind of a pessimist. I like to believe, you know, think the least and be surprised by the best. It sets you up for less disappointment that way. But, you know, if you're an optimist, that's great. You know, we need more of you out there. But, you know, we got yin and yang. And that's the way it's always going to be with our world. But I really want to know what people's perspectives are. And that's going to be one of our next few shows. I'm going to be putting the word out to people out there, people on the street, whatever, to join in the show and just talk to us about what you're seeing, what you feel. People in sanctuaries and churches or whatever, the things that you're hearing. How do you feel about that? What does it make you feel? I want to get the raw feedback, the people. You know, you've got my feedback, but it's one-sided. I mean, of course it is. But I want to know what everybody feels out there. They were passing out the leaflets. So anyway, like I said, and you know, it's constant lies and misinformation and untruths. And it's so abundant these days because of social media. You can just put anything you want to on there, and it just I read it on this, and it's fact. And you say it enough times without being checked, you know, because we don't believe in fact checking anymore. It becomes reality. It is the truth, you know, and you no matter what you tell them, no matter what you show them that debunks it, they still believe it. I mean, you know, all these people out there that believe, you know, the COVID was created by man to microchip us, and oh my God, you know, I mean, y'all don't really. I mean, you've been watching too many movies, first of all, and secondly, I mean, I'm gonna get real. Millions of people died from this. Yeah, there was a lot of misdiagnosis, and that even happened here, from what I understood, that people were. You know, just writing them off as COVID when it wasn't. A lot of people didn't have COVID deaths. They had cardiac arrest or heart attacks, whatever it could have been, but it weren't COVID related deaths. You know, and I strongly encourage people out there to fact check those types of things because that's very important. But it's probably just easier to write it off as COVID deaths. You know, how many people died from poisoning or died from, was murdered basically, that were wrote off as COVID? I mean, because a lot of things, you know, can happen. And you know, we've seen Munchausen syndrome where they slowly kill somebody. We've seen poisoning people. We've seen all kinds of crazy stuff out there. I tell you, the insanity that I don't understand is what's going on around the world. I mean, Putin just got a new missile that is, and nobody cares, a new underwater missile that's a nuclear missile. And he's loading it all to his subs, you know, it's getting ready to be loaded, and it will be fired. And what happens was it hits up underneath the water. It creates a tsunami that destroys that area. I mean, the capabilities of stuff like this, and it is real. They've already fact checked that and made sure that it is a real nuclear weapon. Russia is a problem. I mean, you know, and nobody's doing anything about it. We're all just standing on the sidelines and letting them just destroy Ukraine. I mean, because he wants all their resources because he's depleted all his. And that's how he's got all his power. That's why he's got all these dozens of homes that are worth millions. He's one of the richest people in the world. People really don't realize that because. And I love how also, you know, you always hear in these newscasts, the former Soviet Russian ambassador, blah, 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 whatever his name was killed, and his family were all killed after they defected or they'd said something that wasn't good or whatever, got kicked out of their government or whatever, and they're killed. Nobody blinks an eye, you know. I mean, it's overwhelming. That it's so underwhelming to people. And I think that's one of the things that scares me is that we become so desensitized to what we see going on around the world. I mean, we see so much evil every day on our TVs and everything else. Every time we turn on the news, we just hear more doom, gloom. And every now and then there's a positive story, but not many. You know, we still hear about officers beating down, killing people unjustly. The things I've seen, it should make people angry. And the fact that it doesn't truly concerns me. Because, I mean, what is going on in this world where we are just so desensitized, we don't care if somebody's got his knee on the back of somebody's neck for over 9 minutes. The guy pisses himself. I mean, all this, and just sits there and allows it to happen. I mean, I guess, you know, you can't just go and attack a cop because then you get shot or whatever. But at the same time, though, what is wrong with people? Why do you hate so much? African Americans or whites or whatever, or even Asians, people that are being, they're not from China, but they're being discriminated against because they all, oh, you bought COVID here and all this other stuff. Our world is unpredictable. There's nothing as predictable about it except that we're going to be, we're born, we live, we die. And that's the only predictability that you can really truly see. Because, I never would have thought all the things that we have seen and take place in just our lifetimes would have ever happened. When I was, I was born in 1974, and we still had the rotary phones and stuff like that. I remember when our first cable box came, and everything else, but everything just changed within the 90s. I think in the 90s was our biggest point of change, where everything started just to become simpler, easier, quicker, and it changed the world. We thought it changed the world for the better, but I disagree. We got way ahead of ourselves before, we were ready. And like I said, there's a lot of people out there that don't have the right information that still go out and spout whatever they need to spout and say what they need to say. And it's sad because, they look so ignorant when they do this. But they think the same thing about us. They think we're the liars. I think we're the crazy ones out there. What is the sane thing to do during these times? Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to build me a bunker and everything else. I'm just going to go up in it. It's probably a good idea. Because we really don't know what the future is holding. Especially like what was just talking about around the world. Ukraine and Russia. Will we intervene? What will he do, actually? There's all kinds of questions about how crazy this mother is. Because, he can quite easily nuke these folks and just turn it into a wasteland just so we can win. I don't see him ever saying, okay, well, we've done enough. Let's quit. Let's do a peace treaty. Let's sign it. I don't see that ever happening. And the fact that people still try to push for that, thinking it's a possibility with Putin, you're insane. This man is driven to get what he wants, and he's done it all his life. So we have to really focus on the craziness of it, not peace and all this other stuff that people talk about, because it's not going to happen. There's just going to be more deaths, more chaos, more destruction, more lives just torn apart because he wants the resources. A lot of stuff comes out of Ukraine, and we need our partners. We need Ukraine. I talked about a simpler time, and I told you that I think that it would be probably later on in, many, many years from now. I said the same thing about marriage equality. I said, that'll never happen in my lifetime, not especially not here. And boom, it did. Within years, a few years, not decades, but a few years from the time I said it. And so I can't predict anything, but I will say there's going to be a turning point in mankind. And I don't know if I'll be here for it or not. I don't know if you will be here either. But at the same time, though, I hope that we can finally learn a lesson. It seems like, cause I don't know if we can, because we just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, just doing it different ways. We demonize others. We discriminate against others. We always want to be better than somebody else. There's always going to be a class system. And that's, again, failure right there from the get-go. Our country, I was talking to somebody last night about it. I love America. I always have. But, this is not the country that I grew up in. This has become something far more sinister, really. You don't know where you're coming or going in here. And you see all this chatter going on in the background. And these are people that are gearing up and getting ready for something. What are they getting ready for? Well, is it the end of the world? Or, a lot of people believe, oh, Jesus is coming and blah, blah, blah. I pretty much can tell you Jesus is not on his way back here. We're just going through our next phase of life, and hopefully it's a turning point for us. I truly hope that. You see all the shows and everything. They always say after the Third World War, then they got their shit together. Become this and become a better utopia. Well, that happened. I don't know. And I hate to say it, but maybe it's what we need. you know, so we can get to that point, because we're just so at each other's throats right now. We're ready to rip them out, and and not even care about it. Don't even care what we're doing. Video games and everything else. I love them. I mean, but at the same time, though, they have desensitized people to empathy, to pain, to death, all the way around. We used to cry over death. Now, I've dealt with AIDS for a long time. I mean, I was diagnosed with AIDS back in 2003. And I had a doctor that wasn't informed, and I didn't know any better. And he told me I go home and make the best of my life. I had 6 months to live. Well, I'm here 20 years later this year, and I'm excited to be alive. I'm happy to be alive, but there was no information out there. There was nothing abundant for us to do. We had to be really educated about everything. I mean, especially here in the South, because more people living, dying, becoming infected in the South than any other region of the country. And that's exactly what, we still deal with today. We still deal with stigma for HIV care. We've got so much that goes on in the world out there. I mean, and you think after 40 years of AIDS that we would have gotten past all the stigma crap, but it still is very abundant. People still talk down about it. People still treat people like dirt because they have it. They don't want to learn anything about it. That's why we created the Chattahoochee Valley Better Way Foundation. I went to a conference down in Florida. It's called the Positive Living Conference, born by Butch McKay and Oasis AIDS Oasis. And it was a turning point for me because it activated me to come back here and make a difference and change this madness. I had people that wouldn't even shake my hand. My parents pulled out the plastic forks and paper plates and all that stuff and plastic cups every time I come over. Bless them, but learn something about it. Don't just. That's the problem with all the misinformation. You don't pick up anything to find out more. You have to be inquisitive. Don't just accept what you think is truth. Be inquisitive. Find out the truth. Do some research, and don't just do it in one place. Do it in many others to back it up. You've got to do these things. But anyway, AIDS is still a problem here in the South. Because I guess it's the heat. I don't know, whatever. They just want to screw more. I don't know. But at the same time, though, folks, there's new information about science that proves undetectable viral load equals untransmittable. In other words, if your CD4 is good and you have less than 40 copies of the viral load, you cannot transmit HIV to anyone. Now, trying to educate people about this has been an uphill battle. In fact, we thought everybody was going to be jumping on board, but no, they didn't. They debunked it. They tried to debunk it. They tried to say it's not true. They tried to say it's just a plot to get more people infected. Do your research, folks. They did many years of research to find out this information. A lot of people had to actually go through these trials and everything else to make sure that their findings were accurate, and they were. That means I don't even have to wear a condom, and I can have sex with somebody, and full way all the way through, and they won't get HIV. And all my lovers that I've ever been with, that were not positive when I met them, stayed negative. So I've taken care of myself. That's the best part that I could for many, many years, for 20 years. And again, about death, that's where we're going. Okay, yeah, death. I have seen so many people die from this disease. Hundreds that I've known. And, you get to a point where it's like, after another person dies, you're like, I don't even cry about it anymore. And that makes me sad because I don't feel enough to cry about the person I cared about. But it's just because it's become so regular, things that happen every day, that we become complacent with it. And that's what people are doing all around the world with everything. I mean, you know, AIDS, AIDS isn't going away anytime soon, but I mean, it is getting better. So be sure you get tested out there. Make sure you know your status. We've been doing this work for 20 years. I mean, excuse me, 15 years. And we've been doing the work for LGBT advocacy and so forth for 10 years. This is our 10th anniversary for Colgate Pride. I love what I do. I mean, you know, and like I said yesterday, I mean, if it's wrong, and I'm going to burn in hell for the rest of my life, but I know it's not because I pray about it. My dad always says, "You pray about it, Jeremy?" Yes, I pray about it. Because I don't want to lead people the wrong way. I don't want to be responsible for someone's downfall from grace. I want to give out the best information that I feel, but I know in my heart what is real. And I know God has a purpose for each and every one of us out here. And I mean, my lot in life was to probably, you know, contract this disease and do the work that I do. I've always been a good speaker and everything else. And to get out there and make a change. We made some difference, but, you know, still stigma lives. And stigma has to be overcome because it's a huge barrier for so many people to get help. They won't even go get tested because they think they've already got it. And if they find out, then everybody's going to find out, and then nobody's going to love them. Nobody's going to touch them. Nobody's going to do this, you know. And the African American community has been the hardest hit. And I talked about this yesterday about loving your children and letting them be who they are instead of telling them what they got to be. Because you fail when you're doing that. Because I mean, you're already leaving these kids astray. You're telling them, hey, you can't be gay. You can't do this. You can't do that. You've got to get wives and get children and do this and do that. Well, that's not everybody. And of course, you don't understand it, straight folks. I get that because you're straight. You would never even have a fathom of concept what it is to think that you're gay because you're not. But we're not changing ourselves except for living our truth, living what God made us to be. And you've really got to get off your high horse and stop thinking that you're right, because you're not. You pass laws against these people, and you know, especially these new stupid laws about the hormone replacements. Tell them you can't have any. Parents can't permit it. Doctors are not allowed to do it until they're 18 years of age. You have no idea what that does. You have no idea the consequences of what you're doing right there. We have more deaths, more suicides for transgender individuals than any other group because of crap like this.
Steve.
what I'm talking about, you fucking
because nobody understands it. I mean, I didn't even understand it. I mean, back in my day, we had gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, really not that much of that, and drag queens. They weren't transgender, they were drag queens back then. And now we've got a whole plethora of so many different pronouns and everything else. I mean, it's so damn confusing. You don't know if you're patting your head or scratching your ass. I mean, but, you know, everybody wants their individuality. I get that. Everybody wants to be unique. I get that. But don't expect everybody else out there. Now, this is my message to the guys. Don't expect everybody else out there to jump on your bandwagon and learn your pronouns and everything else. It's not their place to. Yes, it would be respectful of their part, but it's not their place to have to know it. So you can't get all up in there. Oh, you mispronoun me. Oh my God. You got to stop that. You're causing a lot of rift. You're causing a lot of anger because you're showing your ass over nothing. Oh, it's something to me. Well, guess what? It's not to them because they don't understand it. They've been a she or he all their lives, and there's no in between. They don't understand it, period. We're trying to get them on board to understanding us. Don't push them away. Have a little bit more compassion, have a little bit more tolerance, have a little bit more patience, and educate. And that's what you need to do. I mean, you know, pronouns came about overnight, basically, in a lot of places, because we didn't hear about here in the South really until, I guess, a few years ago. I mean, where it really become bigger, and especially these neo pronouns. Y'all get off of that. Oh, that's a real thing. Blah blah. You got to create words that pisses people off. It really does. Zim, zares, all that. Just be they. That's so much easier. Be, you know, them or whatever. I mean, it's a lot easier just to do the they pronoun than anything else. Quit confusing people with so many extra things. I mean, I lead the LGBT organization here, and I'm confused as hell. And I'm like, you know, it's a lot of new stuff that we have to learn. I'm trying. I really am. And I make mistakes still. But at the same time, though, don't jump up in my face because I didn't know your pronoun. You know, we don't have name tags on everybody yet, or barcodes. That's mark of the beast type thing. But, you know, we're getting to that point. And it will be happening one day. I believe that it's going to be a reality. We're going to have we'll be barcoded basically somehow, some way to be identification purposes, which is in theory really easier for all of us. As far as to be identified, to know what your history is and everything else. What if you're unconscious or whatever and you don't have your ID on you? They don't know what your name is. They don't know anything about you. Scan whatever that piece is and boom, you got it. But folks, together we will rise. And we'll do more together if we stand together. You know, that's the only way we're going to fight this insanity is stop fighting again amongst ourselves over asinine stuff like pronouns and, you know, stupid stuff. and start working together and start working with Black Lives Matter, start working with moms taking action against gun violence, start taking, all the positive groups that are out there, we need to be a part of. We need to be a part of anything that's positive for our nation, positive for our community, positive for our lives. And once we do that, we'll be a lot better off. So make sure that each and every one of y'all find a support group or something out there. Be a helping hand to people out there. Volunteer. I mean, that's one thing that we do with our agency. We have a lot of volunteers, but I guess maybe we should pay because maybe people will stick around a little bit longer. But I can't believe that out of all of the gay population that we have here, there's just a handful of people that care enough to actually do the work. And you're never appreciated. I mean, yeah, you are by some, and it's sweet, and thank you. But you're never really appreciated for what you do. In fact, you're demonized for the work that you do at half the time. They're never going to be happy. They're always going to tear you down, want to cut you down and everything else. And that's been that way for a long time. I've gotten so much heat just because I have AIDS. I mean, so much hate because I have AIDS. Oh my God, you got AIDS. Why are you even on here? Why are you on Grindr? Because I'm a healthy human being that wants to have a sex life. And I do. And, there's a lot of people out there that are above and beyond that. And thank God for that. I really, my hat goes off to anybody out there that gets the education and learns. No, that's not true. This is true. And furthermore, teaches it to others. It's one thing to have that information, but to teach it to others is a whole different ballgame. That's how we make the changes happen. And it's getting there one day at a time. But at the same time, though, it's been a very, very slow crawl because people still like to hate. People still like to think they're better than someone else because they don't have AIDS, or they like to think they're better than someone because they're white, or they think they're better than someone because, they're Christian and not Muslim. You're not better than anyone. You're not better than me. I'm not better than you. We're not better than any of us. We're all here on this earth for a purpose. It's time we start living that purpose, helping one another, and rise above all the damn insanity. I'm Jeremy Hobbs. We'll see you next time on Rise Above Insanity. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.